Well, hello friends, it's Wayne Polson coming to you from SM Heartland and here at the house on Heartwood. Today I want to talk about guitar strings. I've been playing the guitar for roughly 50 years and about 25 to 30 of those years I played every day of the week, sometimes maybe 3 times a week. I was playing in front of a live audience. I was a member of a church worship team over that period of time, so I did a lot of playing. And I learned pretty quickly that in order to maintain a certain sound quality from my guitar, I would have to replace my strings at least once a month. Now, for professional players who play 2, 3, 4-hour gigs or whatever, they probably change their strings at every gig just to make sure that they've got the same quality every time. Now, that gets expensive if you're not a professional, so I don't do that. But these days, I'm not playing in front of people anymore. I play basically for my own enjoyment and Susie's enjoyment, and sometimes for my children when they request it, and my children are much older now. I don't change my strings as often, maybe once a year, maybe once every year and a half. Now, today I decided I'm going to change my strings because I've noticed a fall off in the sound quality. And what I mean by that is the strings don't ring out as clearly as they used to. They're not as responsive, and they feel actually kind of heavy in my fingers. And it seems like the tonal quality has just degraded. And that's what will happen because the strings will tarnish over time. They pick up skin cells and oils that get stuck in the little windings, the brass windings around the strings. And that all contributes toward this degradation of the sound quality of the string. Now, I mean, I think it sounds okay. And I'll do a little demonstration here. I'll play a little ditty on this set of strings. But then what I really want to do, though, is I want to show you a technique for changing your guitar strings. Now, it's not the only technique, and it's not the only right technique. It is a proper technique. It takes a little bit more learning than just sticking a string on there and winding it a bunch of times around the tuning pegs. But you'll find through this demonstration that it's a very reliable and a very quick way to replace the strings on your guitar. There are wrong ways to do that, and I'll hit on that a little bit during the demonstration. So once I replace the strings in that demonstration, I'll come back to this chair, we'll play the same ditty again, and we'll compare the sound quality between the first recording and the second recording. And I'm not going to change anything with the audio setup. All I'm really doing here, very simply, is I have a lavalier mic set right here, just taped above the sound hole on my guitar. I'm going to use that for both demonstrations, and we're going to see how this works. So without further ado, by the way, you know, most of you that view my channel know that I started a tree service a couple of years ago. And one downside to working with power saws and trees and ropes is it's hard on your hands. My hands are not as, they're not as nimble as they used to be. And I'm not going to try to make an excuse here, but it is sort of an excuse, I guess. I have a hard time playing my guitar like I used to play. So, and a lot of that's just age. I'm getting there. I'm 66 years old. I'm over the hill already, and I'm on a downward slope, moving faster and faster every day, getting closer and closer to that finish line, if you know what I'm saying. Whew. Okay, that's dark. So, without further ado, let's just record this. I'll do the best I can, folks, so just bear with me, would you? Got to get in the mood. All right, so to begin with, I like to set my guitar on a couple of pillows, and I like to support the neck with something like I have here, a rolled up blanket. Just something to protect the guitar, yet to give you access to the head and some way to stabilize the guitar while you're changing these strings. The only tools you'll need are going to be a pair of wire cutters, and so I have a pair of wire cutters here, and possibly this little tuning peg crank. This is just for being able to quickly crank the tuning pegs to tighten the strings, but it also provides a feature here. There's a little provision that allows you to get underneath the pegs down here to pry them out of the saddle. So that's really all you need. So I usually start with the number 6 string here. This would be the lowest string on your guitar. So I use the crank then to loosen that string all the way up. Then I'll go down here to the saddle, and I'll pry the pin out. Now, if you have trouble with these plastic pry tools, they do make some that are actually more rugged. So I have a little trouble with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently take my cutters and create like a little lever here, and just pry it up like that. Okay, so now I can take the string out at the tail, and then over here I kind of force it through backwards so that I can get a hold of the string. As you can see here, I don't have too many curls in the end of it. That's because I don't have more than maybe 1 or 1.5 turns on this string when I'm finished. Then the next thing I'll do is get my strings out. Now, normally you could have this done ahead of time, but one thing I want to show you about these strings, they always have the number 1 string on top, the number 1 being the lightest string, or the high E string here. And the bottom of this pack will always have the number 6 string, or the lowest one, the one that we just removed. That's the order that these strings are in. If you notice here, 11, 15 thousandths, 22 thousandths, 32 thousandths, 42 thousandths, up to 52 thousandths here. Now what I like to do is I just flip these over, because I'm starting with the heavier string, and I'll grab my string out of there, carefully uncoil it. Be careful, because this thing can pop you in the eye, so I'd recommend you wearing some kind of eye protection. The next thing I do is take my peg. I'll put the string in, but I don't push it all the way into this hole, because this goes completely into the guitar. And if you get it in too far, what's going to happen is after you put that peg in, this string is going to be able to pull itself out as you tension it at the head. So what I like to do is I'll take the string and get it started just like that, and then use the peg to shove the ball in while keeping a little bit of tension on this. This does not have to be squished down real tight, just snug. Now this string can't pull back out. Then I come down here to the head. Now this is key. I'm going to demonstrate what I do here. So I turn the tuner until the hole through the tuning peg here is perpendicular to the neck of the guitar. Then coming from the inside of the headstock, I'll start the string. I take it through like that, and I usually just leave enough tension in there so that, or enough slack in there so that the string is very loose. At this point, what I do is I take this end of the string, the free end, and I bring it back around the peg backwards, just like this, and I run it underneath the opposite end of the string. So you can see what I've got going on here. I came out this way, went around and under this part of the string here, and then I bent it straight up. So what I'll do now is I'll grab the crank here, and I will turn this string in such a way, if you notice I'm turning it so that the tuning peg runs counterclockwise. And as it does, you can see here that this portion of the string is going to pinch this tail underneath it as it tensions. Okay? And when it does that, it's going to hold this string that's running around the peg from slipping. See that? And then what I'll do too is I'll guide the string here into the nut where it belongs and continue to tighten this. Now, at this point, you could pull out your tuner. My tuner happens to be my phone, so I can't really pull it out at this point. But because I know these other strings are still in tune or roughly close to being in tune, I'll tune this to match the known Ds. In this particular case, my guitar is tuned to an open D flat tuning. So this is a D flat, this is a D flat, and this is a D flat. So I make it match that. Now, while it's in that tuned condition, I'll go ahead and just pull up on this string to sort of stretch it, pre-stretch it, and get some tension out of it. And you notice it loses its tune. So now I'll crank it again. And then I'll do it another time. Just pull up on it to try to pre-stretch it. Like that. This string is now in place, and at this point I'll go ahead and cut this off flush at the top of the tuning peg, and I'm done. The same procedure is followed for the 5th and the 4th strings. Now I'm going to demonstrate the number 1 string next, just because it's in the opposite direction. So I'm going to do that one next. Normally I'll just go in sequence from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then to 1. So I'm going to reach down in here, I'm going to grab the number 1 string, the 11 thousandths. I'm going to pull it out and have it ready. All right, and I'll take my crank and take all the pressure off of that string, like that. I'll come over here, pull that peg up, lift the string out, and get that out of the way. Then I'll take the new string, and again with the string, the ball of the string just starting in the hole, I'll use the peg. And there's a groove on this peg. You want the string to ride in the groove. I'll use that to push the string into the hole. Give it a slight push there to hold it in place. And now I take the free end of the string and I run it again from the inside of the head through the hole to the outside. Try to leave a little bit of tension on, or take a little bit of the slack out, or take a lot of the slack out until there's just maybe 3 or 4 fingers, 2, 3 fingers of slack here under the string. Then I'll bring it back around the peg and under the string like that, and then pull it up. And then I'll take my crank and crank it until the main part of the string starts to clamp the free end of the string in place. Does this make sense? I hope it does. Okay, so I've got this tensioned right. I'll go ahead and pre-stretch this. All right. All right, so at this point now, I'll finish up the rest of the strings. I'm going to do that real quickly in a time-lapse fashion here and get this thing done, and then we'll see how it sounds. All right, so there it is. It's completely restrung. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and finish tuning it. This is an open D tuning. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll have to tweak it a little bit as I play on it here, but we'll call that a complete restring of the guitar, and let's get going to the next stage. Well, all right, folks, so the guitar is retuned. I pre-stretched all of these strings several times and retuned several times. So this should hold its tune pretty well, especially the way that these are wound around the tuning pegs here. And if you'll notice, when you're done with this, you should only have one, maybe at the most two wraps around this peg. That's all you need. You just need something to hold this free end here in place. You just need pressure on it. And that's why I like this tuning method, or restringing method, because you don't have to make a bunch of wraps around that peg. The problem with a bunch of wraps around that peg is those wraps will stretch and the string will try to work its way between, basically between windings there, and so you'll have trouble keeping your guitar in tune. Now, I forgot to mention that during the restringing process, so I apologize, but hopefully that makes sense to you. All right, well, let's see what a difference there is in the sound. I'm going to go ahead and play this now with these new strings in place, and I'll put the other demonstration alongside this so that you can kind of get an idea of any variations in the sound. Here we go, if I can remember how I did that the first time. Got to get in the mood. Well, friends, thanks for watching this video. That's all I have for you right now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, that like button right there. Put some comments down below. I'd like to talk to you in the comments. If you're not a subscriber, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. My channel's all over the place. I get into all kinds of things. I'm sort of a jack of all trades and a master of absolutely none of them. So hopefully you'll find something entertaining here, though. And if you do subscribe to the channel, make sure that you hit that notification bell. When you do that, you'll get notifications anytime I post a new video. So folks, as always, be kind in your families, be kind in your neighborhood, be kind to people who you think don't deserve to be kind to. Chances are they feel the same way about you. If we just practice kindness in our communities and kindness wherever we go, I think our world will become a much better place, don't you think? Let's try that, folks. I will see you in an upcoming video. Who knows how long? Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? All right, y'all take care. See ya.